AM, Johnstown, Denver.
My friends, I am back. Riell Truth is back. Off yesterday, off Monday. I hope you enjoyed your Christmas holiday. We've got lots to do. In this hour, I'm going to be looking back, so to speak, at 2017 and running through for you, because the major media never will, the tremendous accomplishments of the Trump administration in 2017. For example, from the Washington Examiner, with the passage of the GOP tax bill last week, the Trump administration has scored 81 major achievements in its first year, making good on campaign promises to provide significant tax cuts, boost U.S. energy production, and restore respect to the United States. Along the way, President Trump even outdid his own expectations and slashed at least 11 major legacy items of former President Barack Obama, including cracking down on the open border, slowing recognition of communist Cuba, and effectively killing Obamacare by ending the mandate that everyone have health insurance or face a tax. According to the White House, the 81 accomplishments are in 12 major categories and include over 100 other minor achievements. The unofficial list helps to counter the impression in the mainstream media and among congressional Democrats that outside of the approval of Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch and passage of the tax reform bill, that little has been done. Administrations typically tout their achievements broadly at the end of each year, but Trump plans to list jobs added, regulations killed, and foreign policy victories won, and moves to help veterans and even drug addicts. In a sign of support for conservatives, the White House also is highlighting the achievements for the pro-life community. Coming up on the other end of this break, my friends, 12 categories and 81 decisive wins for the White House in 2017. But it's better because it's not only wins for the White House, it's 81 decisive wins for the American people. Think how many times in the last 8 years during the Obama administration, how many times did you think, wow, America's better off now? None, right? Me too. Well, we're in a different era now, a drastically different era, thank God. When we come back, we're going to sum up year one of the Trump administration, look at all the different things he's done for you and for me and our children and our friends and our neighbors. And that's really what you want out of a chief executive, isn't it? The president is the chief executive of the country. We're going to start. When we come back, it starts with jobs and the economy, and from there it takes off. It's Wednesday. It's Riell Truth. And I'll be right back.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution.
American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown reminds parents, keep an eye on your child while shopping. Children tend to stray or become lost. This poses an opportunity for a would-be abductor. Make every effort to keep track of your little one at all times. If you have information regarding a lost child, call local authorities at once. This message is from American Window Tinting Incorporated in Franktown. For residential or commercial window tinting, call 303-263-4228. Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver reminds that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abused by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's Restaurant in Denver. It's not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166.
My friends, it's the second last episode of the year. So let's make it count. I am Howard Riell. The show is called Riell Truth. We are looking at 81 decisive victories scored in 2017 by the Trump administration. Let's get to it. Number one, jobs and the economy. Passage of the tax reform bill providing $5.5 billion in cuts and repealing the Obamacare mandate. Increase of the GDP above 3%. Creation of 1.7 million new jobs, cutting unemployment down to 4.1%. Saw the Dow Jones reach record highs. A rebound in economic confidence to a 17-year high. A new executive order to boost apprenticeships. A move to boost computer sciences and education department programs, prioritizing women-owned businesses for some $500 million in SBA loans. As far as killing job-stifling regulations, the Trump administration signed an executive order demanding that 2 regulations be killed for every new 1 it creates. He beat that big and cut 16 rules and regulations for every 1 created, saving you and me $8.1 billion. The president signed 15 congressional regulatory cuts, withdrew from the Obama-era Paris Climate Agreement, ending the threat of environmental regulations, signed an executive order cutting the time for infrastructure permit approvals, eliminated an Obama rule on streams that Trump felt unfairly targeted the coal industry. When it comes to fair trade, the president made good on his campaign promise to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, opened up the North America Free Trade Agreement for talks to better the deal for the United States, worked to bring companies back to the U.S., and companies like Toyota, Mazda, Broadcom Limited, and Foxconn announced plans to open U.S. plants, worked to promote the sale of U.S. products abroad, made enforcement of U.S. trade laws, especially those that involve national security, a priority, ended Obama's deal with Cuba. As far as boosting U.S. energy dominance, because of the president, the Department of Interior, which has led the way in cutting regulations, opened plans to lease 77 million acres in the Gulf of Mexico for oil and gas drilling. Trump traveled the world to promote the sale and use of U.S. energy. He expanded energy infrastructure projects like the Keystone XL pipeline, snubbed by Obama. Ordered the Environmental Protection Agency to kill Obama's Clean Power Plan. The EPA is reconsidering Obama's rules on methane emissions. When it comes to protecting the U.S. homeland, the president laid out new principles for reforming immigration and announced plans to end chain migration, which lets one legal immigrant bring in dozens of family members. He made progress to build the border wall with Mexico. He ended the Obama-era catch and release of illegal immigrants, boosted the arrests of illegals inside the U.S. He doubled the number of counties participating with immigration and customs enforcement charged with deporting illegals. He removed 36% more criminal gang members than in fiscal 2016. He started the end of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival Program, DACA. Ditto for other amnesty programs like Deferred Action for Parents of Americans. Cracked down on some 300 sanctuary cities that defy ICE but still get federal dollars. Added some 100 new immigration judges. When it comes to protecting communities, the president announced grants of $98 million to fund 802 new cops. Justice worked with Central American nations to arrest and charge 4,000 MS-13 members. Homeland rounded up nearly 800 MS-13 members, an 83% one-year rise. Signed 3 consecutive orders aimed at cracking down on the international criminal organizations. Attorney General Jeff Sessions created new National Public Safety Partnership, a cooperative initiative with cities to reduce violent crimes. On accountability, Trump has nominated 73 federal judges and won the nomination of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. He ordered ethical standards, including a lobbying ban, called for a comprehensive plan to reorganize the executive branch, ordered an overhaul to modernize the digital government, called for a full audit of the Pentagon and its spending. On combating opioids, first the president declared a nationwide public health emergency on opioids. His Council of Economic Advisors played a role in determining that overdoses are underreported by as much as 24%. The Department of Health and Human Services laid out a new 5-point strategy to fight the crisis. Justice announced it was scheduling fentanyl substances as a drug class under the Controlled Substances Act. Justice started a fraud crackdown, arresting more than 400. The administration added $500 million to fight the crisis. On National Drug Take-Back Day, the Drug Enforcement Agency collected 456 tons. On protecting life, in his first week, Trump reinstated and expanded the Mexico City policy that blocks some $9 billion in foreign aid from being used for abortions. He worked with Congress on a bill overturning an Obama regulation that blocks states from defunding abortion providers, published guidance to block Obamacare money from supporting abortion. On helping veterans, the president signed the Veterans Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act to allow senior officials in the Department of Veterans Affairs to fire failing employees and establish safeguards to protect whistleblowers. He signed the Veterans Appeals Improvement Modernization Act, signed the Harry W. Comery Veterans Educational Assistance Act to provide support, signed the VA Choice and Quality Employment Act of 2017 to authorize $2.1 billion in additional funds for the Veterans Choice Program. He created the VA hotline. He had the VA launch an online access and quality tool, providing veterans with a way to access wait time and quality of care data. With VA Secretary Dr. David Shulkin, he announced 3 initiatives to expand access to health care for veterans using telehealth technology. As far as promoting peace through strength, the president directed the rebuilding of the military and ordered a new national strategy and nuclear posture review. He worked to increase defense spending, empowered military leaders to seize the initiative and win, reducing the need for a White House sign-off on every mission. He directed the revival of the National Space Council to develop space war strategies, elevated U.S. Cyber Command into a major warfighting command, withdrew from the UN Global Compact on Migration, which Trump saw as a threat to borders, imposed a travel ban on nations that lack border and anti-terrorism security, saw ISIS lose virtually all of its territory, pushed for strong action against global outlaw North Korea and its development of nuclear weapons, announced a new Afghanistan strategy that strengthens support for U.S. forces at war with terrorism. All right, guys, we're not done. I'm only partway through this list of Trump's accomplishments. When we come back, we'll do more. This is Riell Truth.
Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems that put up custom tailored capabilities as modest as emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell, provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com.
The Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. He makes the plans of the people of no effect. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he has chosen as his own inheritance. Psalm 33, verses 10 through 12.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network.
My friends, welcome back to Riell Truth. I have posted that extensive list in its entirety of 81 major accomplishments of the Trump administration. I posted on my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. Go there and find it. Donald Trump signed 88 pieces of legislation during his first 11 months as president. That's the most of any president ever. He surpassed Harry S. Truman, who formerly held that title. So when the lying media, the fake news media, tells you Trump hasn't gotten anything done, aside from Neil Gorsuch and the tax plan, spit in their faces. Of course, if you're spitting on your television screen, you need to wipe it off afterwards. But they're lying to you, and they know they're lying. The only place you get real truth is, well, here is Ann Coulter from 2 days ago on Breitbart News Daily with a powerful Christmas message. Go, Ann.
Let's go further away.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop it there. We got a commercial coming back. When we return, what do you think? Should I do more Ann Coulter? Should I do more news? Maybe I'll do some more news. Why not? It's almost the end of the year. I don't have to save my throat for anything. We'll talk more news, and then maybe we'll visit with John Whitehead of the Rutherford Institute. Wouldn't that be nice? It would be nice. You're listening to Riell Truth, where we're always nice.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of 50. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and food. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. Spelled BIOAGE.com. BioAge.com. Or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge. The age of advanced organic.
Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom-tailored capabilities of modest emergency lighting all the way to commercial-scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
My friends, welcome back. Howard Riell, Riell Truth, item from thehill.com. Reverend Franklin Graham said on Saturday that it's refreshing that President Trump doesn't care, quote, what the liberals think of his pledge to destigmatize Merry Christmas. I'm so excited that the president isn't afraid to mention the name of Jesus Christ and that he boldly stands for not only Christ but all religious freedom. And it's refreshing to have a president who's just not afraid and doesn't care what all the liberals think, Graham said on Fox News' Fox and Friends. Graham, the son of the evangelist Billy Graham and president of Samaritan's Purse, praised the president for following through in his promise that, quote, people will be saying Merry Christmas again upon taking office. Item from USA Today, the headline from Gary Varvel, Face Facts, America, Donald Trump is a success, let's count the ways. Here's what USA Today reported, I quote, it's time for us to give him a fair shake. White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders recently tweeted, which is the more underreported story of POTUS Year 1? Defeat of ISIS, booming Trump economy. Sanders asked the question for a good reason. The good news of Trump's presidency hasn't received much attention. According to the Media Research Center, coverage of Trump on the ABC, CBS, and NBC evening newscasts in September, October, and November was more than 90% negative. Granted, the president is partially at fault for the lack of positive coverage. At times, he stepped all over his message. Plus, attacking news reports as fake news is not the way to win friends and influence the press. Trump supporters cry foul, but just like a coach who throws a chair or blasts the media in a news conference, the outburst tends to get more attention than it does wins. Trumpsters aren't the only ones who've noticed how the media treat Trump. Surprisingly, 93-year-old former President Jimmy Carter said, quote, I think the media have been harder on Trump than any other president, certainly that I've known about, unquote. Speaking with New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd, Carter continued, quote, I think they feel free to claim that Trump is mentally deranged and everything else without hesitation. But in the White House, is the White House press secretary right? Are Trump's wins underreported? On December 16th, Ross Douthat, writing in the Times, called the ISIS defeat, quote, a case where the media is not adequately reporting an important success because it does not fit into the narrative of Trumpian disaster in which our journalistic entities are all invested, unquote. Besides defeating ISIS, what are Trump's wins this year? Tax cuts. Congress has passed a tax overhaul, but just the anticipation of tax reform, which will cut the corporate rate to 21%, has excited business owners and fueled stock market records. Economic growth. The gross domestic product has grown by more than 3% for 2 quarters in a row. Consumer confidence. In October, consumer confidence rose to the highest level in 17 years, according to the New York-based Conference Board. Deregulation. Trump has cut 67 Obama-era regulations and added only 3 new rules. The rollback on regulations has spurred business confidence, economic activity, and stock market growth. Trump said the actions have saved $8.1 billion in lifetime net regulatory costs. Stock market. The Dow has set record highs 70 times this year, rising 5,000 points in a year for the first time in history. Judicial appointments. Trump has staffed the judiciary with constitutionalists such as Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. Unemployment. Granted, Trump inherited low unemployment numbers from President Obama, but the number of people collecting unemployment benefits has continued to fall to a near 44-year low. Trade. Trump worked out a trade deal with China, Vietnam, and South Korea. Israel. The United States' relationship with Israel has been much improved since the last administration. And then, of course, there's Jerusalem. Immigration. In August, illegal border crossing apprehensions were down 41% on the southern border compared with August 2016. U.S. energy. The Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines are under construction. Jobs to be created, 42,000. Coal. Trump stopped Obama's war on coal. Climate change. Trump announced in June he plans to withdraw from the Paris Climate Change Agreement, citing it would undermine our economy. Schools. Trump is giving the green light to school choice programs across the country. Obamacare failed. Congress failed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. But if the tax reform bill is passed, this obviously came out before that, Obamacare's individual mandate will be repealed. Of course, the left credits Obama for ISIS's defeat in the booming economy, and earlier this month, Obama congratulated himself for economic growth and job creation in a speech at the Conference of Mayors in Chicago saying, quote, thanks, Obama. Actually, Obama deserves some credit. His policies created a slow economic recovery, which forced businesses to get lean. Since taking office, President Trump has removed the regulatory weight and the economy is soaring again. Look, Trump's combative style reminds me of a certain 3-time national champion basketball coach from Indiana. But that coach, like that coach, Trump has more wins than losses. Item from the Activist Post. When U.S. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld revealed that the Pentagon was missing $2.3 trillion on September 10th, 2001, it seemed like a massive amount. Little did the American people know that the events that would occur the next day would wipe the missing money from the headlines, and over the next 16 years, the amount of money the government is missing would increase at a rate in excess of $58,000 per second. While $2.3 trillion may sound like a lot, another government agency admitted to losing triple the amount in 2009, when former Inspector General Elizabeth Coleman admitted the Federal Reserve could not account for $9 trillion. I have a copy of the Inspector General Act here in front of me. It says, among other things, that it's your responsibility to conduct and supervise audits and investigations related to the programs and operations of your agency, former Representative Alan Grayson said during the special hearing. That's correct, Coleman replied. So I'm asking you, if your agency has, in fact, according to Bloomberg, extended $9 trillion in credit, which, by the way, works out to $30,000 for every single man, woman, and child in this country. I'd like to know if you're not responsible for investigating that, then who is? Grayson inquired. We have responsibility for the Federal Reserve's programs and operations to conduct audits and investigations in that area, Coleman replied. She went on to claim that she could not comment about specific details while the Federal Reserve was in the middle of a review. Even when Representative Grayson specifically asked, are you telling me nobody at the Federal Reserve is keeping track on a regular basis of the losses that occur in what is now a $2 trillion portfolio? IG Coleman refused to give him a straight answer. The Pentagon has only continued to lose money by the trillions since 9/11, and a recent report analyzing the budgets of the Department of Defense and Department of Housing and Urban Development show the total is now more than $21 trillion. Well, my friends, that is a breathtaking number. It's a stupefying number. If you ask me, it's the kind of number that should get a lot of people in the Washington, D.C. Beltway life prison terms. I want you to think about it. $21 trillion that Americans generated, paid, gone. We'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Earth.
Well, it had to happen. When Colorado legalized marijuana, most people thought the Green Earth was a marijuana dispensary. Also, it was legalized on January the 1st, 2014. The same day we opened our new location at 4565 Kiffin Street, 1.5 blocks south of I-70. There are 83,000 cars a day passing in front of our new location on Kiffin Street, and most of them thought we were a marijuana dispensary. So we changed the name of our retail store to New Genesis Health, but we kept the name of our Green Herb Supplement. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name, New Genesis Health, or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372. And be sure to listen to the Healthy Nature Show with Linda Phillips every Tuesday at 1 p.m.
Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
The associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter Lafayette reminded, no one anywhere is more noble, righteous, selfless, or courageous than our United States Armed Forces. These brave men and women and their families foot the bill for our freedom every day. Send the military care package today to let them know that they are in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts. This message is from the associates at your 24-hour Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Lafayette. They're on the air because they care.
All right, my friends, welcome back. Howard Riell Truth, second last episode of the calendar year. Let's throw it to former guest here on Riell Truth, John Whitehead, the head of the Rutherford Institute, looking at, as usual, our government and all the crappy things it continues to do. Here we go.
This is John W. Whitehead, author of Battlefield America, The War on the American People, bringing you a message about the state of our nation. There's one thing for sure today. Government eyes are watching you. They see your every move, what you read, how much you spend, where you go, with whom you interact, when you wake up in the morning, when you're watching television or reading the internet. Every move you make is being monitored, mined for data, crunched, and tabulated in order to see who you are or what makes you tick and how best to control you when and if it becomes necessary to bring you in line. Indeed, simply by liking or sharing an article or video on Facebook or retweeting it on Twitter, you're most likely flagging yourself as a potential renegade, revolutionary, or anti-government extremist. In other words, a terrorist. It doesn't matter if you like or share a particular article. Simply by reading it or any other articles relating to government wrongdoing, such as surveillance, police misconduct, or civil liberties, that's enough to get you categorized as a particular kind of person that needs to be spied on just in case you decide to challenge the government in any way. Chances are you've already been assigned a color-coded threat score, which ranges from green to red. So police are forewarned about your potential inclination to be a troublemaker. What threat score you get depends on whether you've had a career in the military, you've posted a comment perceived as threatening on Facebook, suffer from a particular medical condition, own a licensed firearm, or know someone who might have committed a crime. In other words, you might already be flagged as a potentially anti-government person in a government database somewhere, such as Maine Corps, that identifies and tracks individuals who aren't inclined to march in lockstep to the police state's dictates. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, the government has the know-how. As The Intercept has reported, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and other government agencies are increasingly investing in and relying on corporate surveillance technologies that can mine constitutionally protected speech on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is in order to identify potential extremists and predict who might engage in future acts of anti-government behavior, so-called. What all this means is that when the government sees all, knows all, and has an abundance of laws to render even the most seemingly upstanding citizen a criminal and a lawbreaker, then the old adage that you've got nothing to worry about if you've got nothing to hide no longer applies. What all this means is we're approaching a time in which we will be forced to choose between obeying the dictates of government agents, that is, the law or whatever a government official deems the law to be, and maintaining our individuality, integrity, and independence. When most people talk about privacy, they mistakenly assume it protects only that which is hidden behind a wall or under someone's clothing. Sadly, the courts have fostered this misunderstanding with their constantly shifting opinion of what constitutes an expectation of privacy, as they call it, barring any immediate danger to another person, which is far different from the carefully crafted threats to national security the government uses to justify its actions. It's no one's business what you read, what you say, where you go, whom you spend your time with, and how you spend your money. Unfortunately, privacy as we once knew it is dead. In George Orwell's classic novel, 1984, he predicted a future where, and I'm quoting, you had to live, did live, from habit that became instinct, in the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and, except in darkness, every movement scrutinized. This has become our reality today. We now find ourselves in the unenviable position of being monitored, managed, and controlled by our technology, which answers not to us, the citizenry, but to our government and corporate rulers. Consider that on any given day, the average American going about his daily business will be monitored, surveilled, spied on, and tracked in more than 20 different ways by both government and corporate eyes and ears. A byproduct of this new age in which we live, whether you're walking through a store, driving your car, checking your email, or talking to friends and family on the phone, you can be sure and certain that some government agency, whether it's the NSA or some other entity, is listening in and tracking your behavior. Mind you, this doesn't even begin to touch on the corporate trackers that monitor your purchases, web browsing, Facebook posts, and other activities taking place in the cybersphere. For example, local police, believe it or not, have been using Stingray devices mounted on their cruisers to intercept cell phone calls and text messages without court-issued search warrants. Doppler radar devices, which can detect human breathing and movement within a home, are already being employed by the police to deliver arrest warrants and are being challenged in court. License plate readers, yet another spying device used by the police and made possible through funding by the Department of Homeland Security, can record up to 1,800 license plates per minute. They are tracking you wherever you go. Moreover, these license plate readers, or better yet, surveillance cameras, can also photograph those inside a moving car. Reports have surfaced that the Drug Enforcement Administration has been using the cameras in conjunction with facial recognition software to build a vehicle surveillance database of the nation's cars, drivers, and passengers. Cameras on light and telephone poles sold to global communities as a surefire means of fighting crime is yet another DHS program that is blanketing small and large towns alike with government-funded and monitored surveillance cameras. It's all part of a public-private partnership that gives government officials access to all types of surveillance cameras on sidewalks, buildings, buses, even those installed on private property.
All right, my friends, I am going to put the link to this video on my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. I hope by now you know it well. Watch the rest of this video. Check out the Rutherford Institute online because they do tremendous work and they deserve our support. That said, we are about to hit a break. When we come back, we will wrap it up with news, and then we'll just have one more day in 2017 to combat evil and save the world. I'm up to it. How about you? We'll be right back.
Please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Children eat the food they athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioH.com, and now they just one nutritional supplement instead of 50. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus. The rest of the body is a full worker. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is stable for beautiful fat. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formula at BioH.com. BioH.com. BioH.com or call 877-288-9116. BioH. And in fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, He has declared Him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16.
You leave the pocket on the first problem is well done. We know our kids will be approached at the meeting. We want to applaud the youngsters in our community that the strict city local group. They provide examples for their peers and families to be the best they can be. As for one of the little pocket located at 366 Grand Freedom Hill, serving our area 1943 and specializing in natural life HD and full and complete custom projects. All for the companies with 382240 that's 382240.
hate technology. I really do. Welcome back, my friends. 4 minutes to go, and then we'll have just an hour left in 2017. Let's look at this one. Item from the Activist Post. 10 top conspiracy theories that turned into fact in 2017. In 2013, Professor Lance DeHaven Smith, in a peer-reviewed book published by the University of Texas Press, showed that the term conspiracy theory was developed by the CIA as a means of undercutting critics of the Warren Commission's report that President Kennedy was killed by Oswald. Now, however, in 2017, those who were once called conspiracy theorists are being vindicated as they watched instance after instance get exposed all year long. My friends, let me go through the list. Number 1. Hollywood and the political elite have been exposed for their rampant and horrifying sex abuse against men, women, and children alike. Number 2. Weather modification just jumped from chemtrail conspiracy theory into mainstream reality as Congress began holding hearings on geoengineering. Number 3. 20,000 documents were released in August proving the EPA conspired with chemical companies to unleash deadly toxic substances on the public. Interesting. Number 4. U.S. media giant Sally Quinn admitted she practiced the occult to murder people, and she was praised for it. Number 5. Mainstream media finally admitted the United States has been aiding terrorists in Syria. Number 6. The Federal Reserve Bank was exposed in June to be a working arm of U.S. intelligence. 7. Declassified document proved the conspiracy that the CIA planned and carried out the 1953 Iranian coup. We knew about that one. Number 8. Billionaire elitists openly admit to ingesting the blood of young children. Number 9. CIA drug trafficking conspiracy was blown wide open in an explosive History Channel series. And number 10. Mainstream science showed vitamin C's ability to fight cancer. My friends, item from Ron Paul. Many Americans have been shocked by recent revelations of the extent of sexual harassment in Congress. However, no one should be too surprised that those who spend their lives defending and expanding the welfare warfare state engage in immoral personal conduct. It's only natural that an immoral system like the welfare warfare state tends to attract individuals likely to practice personal immorality. The welfare warfare state is built on a foundation of taxation and fiat currency controlled by a secretive central bank. While some type of taxation may be necessary to fund the few legitimate functions of government, taking people's money to fund a redistributive welfare state at home and a global empire abroad is nothing more than theft. The Federal Reserve's erosion of purchasing power is also a form of theft. My friends, I will leave it there. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday, the final broadcast day of 2017. We're going to look back, we're going to look ahead, and we're going to look inside. Because ultimately, the answer to all our questions can be found in our minds, and in our hearts, and in our resolve to make the world a better place than it has been in the past. That's all tomorrow. I always get real nostalgic around the end of the year. That's what we're going to do on Riell Truth tomorrow and hopefully through 2018. My friends, until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay angry. Hasta luego.